Hey everyone, this is Lola and welcome. In this video with personal safety and injury prevention, we're going to continue with part 4, and it's going to be dealing with violence. If you haven't seen any of the other parts yet, part 1, part 2, and part 3, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and you will see it there. So here we go, part 4, dealing with violence. Recognizing abuse and violence. So sometimes people have real trouble recognizing that they are being abused. It can also be very difficult for a person who has grown up in such an environment and who has lived with it for so many years. An individual might think that it is just the way things are and that nothing can be done about it. Other people might be persuaded by the kind tone that the perpetrator uses after they have committed the violent act. These individuals can be sweet and loving one moment and then hurtful and harmful the next moment. So why does abuse happen? It's really important to realize that if you are the victim of violence or abuse, that it is not your fault. There's no single reason why people abuse others. Some factors seem to make it more likely that someone may lose control and not know how to appropriately deal with their emotions. An example of this is someone who is unable to control their anger, or if they cannot cope with stress, they may lash out at others. Sometimes individuals who grow up in an abusive family can eventually come to think that it's a good way to discipline others. What are the effects of violence? Violence and abuse can affect every aspect of an individual's life. Violence and abuse can affect the relationships we establish with others, and it can also affect the ways in which we are able to meet our basic needs. Many people who are abused or are a victim of violence distrust others. They might feel a lot of anger towards other people or themselves, and it can be hard to make friends. Violence and abuse can also trigger mental health issues. Abuse is shown to be a significant cause of depression in young people. Sometimes, to deal with the pain of violence and abuse, individuals might turn to things like substance abuse or self-harming acts. Abusers might also tell an individual who is being abused to keep quiet. This is the abuser's way of making a person feel like nothing can be done, so he or she will not report the abuse. So you might be thinking that these individuals can easily tell someone or ask for help, but people who are victims of violence might have trouble getting help because they're afraid of the consequences of reporting a case, of reporting abuse. For this reason, abuse often goes unreported, and many kids and teens do not tell anyone what is going on. Keeping the abuse secret does not protect anyone from being abused. It's so important to talk to someone that you can trust. Getting help and support is an important first step towards feeling better. Violent behavior. So does violence lead to violence? Violent behavior is any behavior by an individual that threatens or actually harms or injures the individual or others, or even destroys property. Violent behavior often begins with verbal threats, but over time escalates to involve physical harm. There are numerous research studies that have concluded that a combination of factors leads to an increased risk of violent behavior in children and adolescents. So what are these factors? Well, they include the following: previous aggressive or violent behavior, being a victim of physical abuse and or sexual abuse, exposure to violence in the home and or community, being the victim of bullying, genetic family hereditary factors, exposure to violence in media on TV, movies, etc., use of drugs and or alcohol, presence of firearms in the home, a combination of stressful family socioeconomic factors, things like poverty, severe deprivation, marital breakups, single parenting, unemployment, loss of support from extended family, and brain damage from the head. And now we have gender-based violence. So what is it? It's violence directed against a person just because of their gender. Both women and men experience gender-based violence, but the majority of victims are women and girls. Includes things like rape and attempted rape, but also sexual abuse, sexual exploitation, forced early marriage, domestic violence, marital rape, trafficking, and female genital mutilation, also known as FGM. Racially based violence. Racial harassment means that someone is bothering you, threatening you, or treating you unfairly just because of your perceived race, which refers to your physical traits. And we can see in these pictures here, there are different types of physical traits. These could be based on combinations of appearance, such as skin color and shade, your stature, facial features, hair color and texture, head form, nose shape, eye color and shape, your height, and blood or gene type. Racially based violence can also be perceived as your ancestry, your roots, your line of descent, your lineage, where you're from. It could be because of your place of origin, where you were born, your birthplace. It could be because of your ethnicity, belonging to a social group that has a common national or cultural tradition. Ethnicity is a category of people who identify with each other, usually on the basis of presumed similarities, such as things like common language, ancestry, history, society, culture, nation, religion, race, or even social treatment within their residing area. It could be based on your citizenship, just being a citizen of a particular country. And remember, if you have citizenship of a country, you are legally accepted as belonging to it. The official Black Lives Matter global network builds power to bring justice, healing, and freedom to Black people across the globe. In the decade spanning 2007 to 2017, Indigenous people accounted for more than a third of people shot to death by RCMP officers, despite numbering just 5% of the population. It is against the law for anyone to harass you, insult you, or treat you unfairly for any of these reasons. Racial harassment can lead to violence. Silence does not make it go away, and many times, if you don't do anything about it, it will get more serious. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.